Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of NAAP News Now. My name's Elisa Tagg, and I'm the Association Director with the National Association of Activity Professionals. And today's guest is Ellie Peterson of Meditative Movements. I'm so sorry, Ellie. I had it right the first time. We're so excited to have you with us today, Ellie. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. Glad to be
Yay!
here.
Yay! Thank you so much for being here. We are so excited, Ellie, because we are going to have the next few weeks. I think we're 6 weeks away from our annual conference. We get to have you tomorrow as our webinar speaker. So excited. If you have not already registered for that, check out the website and click on that link and get registered for tomorrow's webinar with Ellie. And then also, you're going to be one of our guest speakers at our annual conference in April, the first week of April in Minnesota. Thank you again and welcome to being here today. Ellie, why don't you tell us? Let's start off. We always like to share people's backgrounds and histories. Would you take just a few moments and tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and how you came about with meditative movements?
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Awesome.
It's a result of my personal story. When I was 16, I got pregnant. And then by the time I was 23, I was divorced and I had a 5'3" 1-year-old. I was Ellie from the deli. Those that are from Minnesota know about Byerly's, and made $80 a week, very unhealthy, smoker, weighed 100 pounds and thought I was fat and very disconnected. And in that process, Alyssa, I discovered that we only live in the present moment, yet our past. And people can connect with the pandemic, right? That it's adding change to what we already have been experiencing. And how can we be healthy, knowing what we do and having some restrictions placed upon us? So, in that process of my own healing, I came to understand that how I thought about the events were critical. So,
Mm.
things have happened in the past to all of us, and are we still carrying them with us, or have we let them go? And then, as a culture, we learn certain behaviors that aren't helping that trauma. So, for example, we might overdrink. We might overeat, we might over anything, over exercise, because what we're actually doing with that behavior is trying to avoid feeling any of the discomfort that we might have instead of embracing it, experiencing it, because that's what emotions are meant to do. So all of them are good. It's just when it's too uncomfortable, there's valid reasons, very valid reasons why the behavior that you currently have has been working. And I'd offer the pandemic has shown us, especially with mental health, we're coming to realize all the things that we're not able to control, and more of the history, her story, our story together, and how can we actually heal and take care of ourselves, each other, and the environment.
Wow, Ellie, that was a lot of information, but I think it was so important to say because many of us have been caught up in the overindulgence of one thing or another, not just with the pandemic, but many parts of our lives. And you really hit the nail on the head on how important it is to do meditation, how important it is to be one in the moment like you talked about and to share that concept through your meditative movements program. So tell us a little bit more. I know you've done a lot of work with NAP and thank you so much. I know you did a workshop with us a couple and we're going to have that happen again. We're really looking forward to that and having opportunities for more individuals and activity professionals to engage in learning more about meditation and how to use that. Because I know a lot of people may think, that it's just hokey pokey, right? and I don't agree with that, but I know I have some colleagues that may agree with me on that when I have said that, that it's hard to shut down and relax. And I think it's hard for any of us to take that moment to do so. So, talking about the history of meditative movements and why you chose to do that, I'm sure you had some challenges along the way. Would you share a little bit of that with us?
Yes, and actually, the technique was because I wanted to quit smoking. So, as we think in terms of self care, and I talked about the habits that we've already formed, while smoking was an acceptable thing that we did in my family, it's not helpful. And I wanted to quit smoking. I started gaining 5 pounds a month, and I was like, oh, so now I'm 30 pounds heavier. I didn't want to continue with the weight gain. I didn't want to go back to smoking. And so I thought, maybe if you move your body, because I wasn't used to that either. I was very sedentary. And I know that now, and it was more just out of necessity because I'm still raising the kids. And so I actually converted my smoking money into paying a babysitter and then allowing myself to go out. And the first meditative movement was when I was walking. And I don't know if you're familiar with Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. She talks about affirmations. And I realized that my mind was actually telling me things like, this is stupid. You should just, it's not going to work if you try to quit smoking. And so I found that, oh, I'm aware of that thought, but I don't need to believe it and I can replace it. So the first meditative movements were things like I can. And what would happen, Alyssa, was then the trauma would just kind of naturally come. So I might be crying, but it was really allowing myself to feel whatever came up. And so the current technique, and people that come to not only the conference will learn, but tomorrow's webinar is simple movements. So the technique uses physical movements because that's where we hold trauma. It integrates the breath. And then you speak the affirmation because your voice is so very important. And when you hear yourself, like if the eye relax is very simple, you bring your shoulders up, feel the tension you create, you own your power, and you say, I relax. And you start to associate, oh, how does my body feel to be relaxed? And so there's over 140 different movements. Most of them people are using throughout their routine day because they find that I'm stressed out. And how can I calm myself and not wait? And sometimes if you wait, you might have that drink instead of walking, or right, because you're tired, and it's
Yeah.
makes sense. So they're simple. They're 2 to 3 minutes, something you can do easily, and it's building your awareness.
Well, Ellie, I think that's amazing too because as activity professionals, especially working in skilled nursing, we have been considered trauma informed care specialists as well. And I know we've been receiving a lot of other trainings and guidelines on how to share, how to work with individuals that are suffering from trauma. And I think many times we don't think about ourselves having the same issues. We have a lot of secondary trauma too from working with individuals that are sick and other circumstances. And so using those breathing techniques with our residents, our patients, our clients, whatever we call them, would just be phenomenal too. And you talked about a little bit with some of the challenges that come in that. Why don't you now share just some of the positive energy that you have been able to find through doing this?
Yeah, and that's what happened, Alyssa, is that it was amazing because I'm still raising the kids on my own. And I found I was having so much energy, hope for the future. I went to the College of St. Catherine's, so I graduated from college. And that's really where I decided at that point I wanted to share the technique. And there is a research study behind the technique. It shows it does reduce anxiety, depression, and fatigue, and improve emotional and functional well-being. And that's important for people that like the scientific evidence kind of base behind it. And so what people are finding, and I do teach, and that's the other thing that people will have the opportunity is to bring it into their facility. One is to practice for your own self-care. Like you said, sometimes we think that we're not being impacted, but then we're surprised with how our response is. And
Right.
to be on, right, to be honest is really critical. And then to take the time for yourself because you can't give what you don't have. And so the technique can be used again for your own self-care, and then it's being used kind of throughout the country as well. Like Tammy in California
Hmm.
is teaching, and she works with her dementia residents, and they love it. So it's a way for them to, again, they can follow along. It's easy to do. And don't we all want that? Something that makes us feel good.
Right. And I think offering this kind of program for our residents too really touches base on the wellness model in trying to do something new and different with our residents, and especially as we get a new generation of residents into our communities, too, that it's important to provide some form of meditation or some form of breathing techniques or opportunities for them to have that relaxation. And I think that's the best part of being a leader of that. We get to have that same level of relaxation and working with them and being able to focus on that. Very well done. I think I'm excited about that. And tomorrow's webinar, you're going to be sharing some more of your secrets and your techniques. Can you give us just a little bit of a preview, a teaser for those of us that are watching?
Sure. Yeah. What you're going to learn is a little bit of background on why it's important. So most people are aware of physical exercise, all the value that that has. And so picking something that fits your ability is really important. And that's why meditative movements, it can be done with anyone's physical ability. It's honoring your own body. A lot of us have been comparing our bodies, and that's really hard on ourselves. And instead of accepting and saying, this is my body and learning to love it is really important. So the physical part, and then I talk about the breath, and there is some simple meditation that I give. So people have an understanding of when I'm just quiet, how does my mind work? Because that's what meditation really is about, is to be an observer. And so you're sitting there, your eyes might be closed, and that's what's recommended. They could be open, but the eyes take in senses, and that's what it's supposed to do to keep you safe and to help you navigate this world. And yet when you sit and close your eyes, and it's like, isn't that interesting? There's a thought about, what am I going to have for dinner? And then it goes to, oh, what did that person say to me? And it's coming to understand that, oh, your brain is going and you're watching those thoughts. So that is key. And then knowing that, let's say that something's replaying in your brain, you're able to stop it. You're able to then, oh, maybe I'll do an affirmation like I'm valuable, because this is bringing me down. I feel like I'm being discounted. What would happen if I'd stop that inner dialogue and change it to I am valuable? Well, I'd feel better. And that's how we start creating change. So the technique, and people will learn several meditative movements that I'm inviting them to practice so that they can see what it's like for them to experience it, and to then take what I call control. Own your personal power, because if we start having events, things that are happening outside of us, and we give our power away and say, well, that made me sad. Well, do you want to be sad? Right? It really is a choice. You can say other things like, I'm going to be happy that I'm aware that I don't need to let that affect me in the same way. And it's all about learning about yourself. It's learning about how we've all been educated and what we want to do to make our lives be healthier, happier. And I say whole because I think we get disconnected from ourselves because of our trauma.
So true, Ellie. I love the growing whole concept. I'm all about growing whole and being able to make a difference. And I can attest to the fact that when you are not taking care of yourself, you're not taking care of others. You cannot take care of others. And so you need to really focus on who you are and where you come from and how you want to live your life. Yep. And what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind as well for those that are around you? And we're gonna go even deeper in 6 weeks, right? At the annual conference, we're gonna dig a little deeper. So can you give us an idea of what you'll be sharing with us then at the annual conference in Minneapolis?
Yeah, it's more extensive. So it's really the opportunity, because when you're together for an hour, that you get a taste, and I give enough background so that if it's, oh, this is all new to me, I don't have a clue on this, and so kind of scratching your head and then trying to accommodate people that I know that. And it's like, well, let's practice a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it's a 3 hours that we get to be together. And it just, as we know, repetition is so very important. And it's an opportunity that you get CEUs for the coming to the workshop. I think it's called the workshop.
The conference. Yeah. Your portion's the workshop in the conference. So yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
And maybe you want to share a little bit about the conference just to remind people if they're new
Yes.
to, they haven't checked it out yet.
Right. Yes. Because our annual conference, we're going to meet in person, everyone. That's so exciting. April 5th through the 8th. And I know Ellie's sessions are April 5th in the evening, which is even nicer too, to have a relaxation. So our conference starts at 5 p.m. on that Tuesday night. And we'll be kicking it off with Ellie and being able to learn how to care for yourself. Ooh, that's such a hard one. I know so many people struggle with that. Even though we say we can do it, we don't know how to do it. I think, and I mean that in all sincerity, because I'm as guilty as everyone else, and trying to focus on that. And so, early bird registration is still available through March 11th. So we encourage you to go to the website or on our Facebook page or LinkedIn pages where we've been posting links to how to register for that and come join the fun. Ellie is just one of many amazing opportunities that we'll be having there. Ellie, I don't know if you knew this or not, but it's actually our 40th anniversary as an organization. So we'll be celebrating big time, celebrating 40 years. What is that? The Ruby. So we'll be doing lots of fun things with 40 years and how NAAP has grown in the last 40 years, and the history of our organization is moving into the future of the organization. So anything else you would like to share with us, Ellie? Any other
Well,
final thoughts?
yeah, there is a take care of me plan so
Okay.
that, right, we get information and then it's like, well, how do I really integrate it? And so that will be a small part, but one that's very important because it's like, what can I do for maybe 2 to 3 minutes versus a lot of us think it's got to be big. And so this is learning how to take small steps. And so that will be a part as well.
Awesome. Well, that's the best part because I think sometimes that's all we ever have time for is 2 to 3 minutes. So thank you so much. And your website's meditativemovements.com, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
We'll add it to the chat box for everybody to have access to that. And we hope that you have taken the time to register. The workshop for tomorrow is free. You can look at our website or on our Facebook page to find the link to register for the webinar tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time and join us with Ellie and learn a little bit more about fantastic techniques with meditation. Or you can join us in person and have an even more in-depth opportunity with Ellie at our annual conference in April. Well, thank you so much, Ellie, for your time today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we will see you here back here once again at the next time that we join. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Take care and have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.